Welcome, Sandra, to the podcast, Internal Shift Podcast. I am so excited to have you here.
Yay!
So excited. So excited. You know, as I've been thinking about the clients that I've been working with that I really want to showcase on here, like you were one of the first ones that came to mind.
Because thank you.
You're welcome. But truly, because and you know this, we worked together for how long was it? About 18 months?
Yeah, 18 months altogether.
Yeah.
When I first started,
Definitely. And you're just one of these students, clients, like I say, that you do the work. You know what I mean? You do the work, you stick with it, you show up, and that's why you start to see the shifts in your own life. So I know that in this episode today, and as we were just talking about the biggest thing, well, I'll let you tell everyone the biggest thing that shifted for you and what you got out of it. But I guess the first question that I really want to ask you is, what made you, and this is what I'm asking everyone that I'm bringing on, what made you decide to work with me? What was it that made you sort of say, yep, Alissa's the one that I want to work with, and it's time to do the work? What was happening within you mentally, so in terms of your mindset, that made you say, I need to start working on this, and why me?
Yeah. Okay. So I guess just to paint a bit of a picture, I started following you probably about 12 months before I did the one-on-one with you.
Right.
And I did, I would follow your lives and I would do a couple of your little courses and group masterminds. And I used to get so much out of it. But the thing was, I just felt like there was still a piece of that puzzle that was still missing. And I was always sitting on the fence about investing in myself. And when I finally decided that, okay, this is it, I really need to just do this for me, because the only way it's going to shift is for me to actually work one-on-one with someone who's going to really call me out on stuff.
Yeah. And
also show me things that I couldn't see that were going on.
Yes. Can we just stop there for a second? No, honestly, because what you've just said, I really feel people need to rewind that and listen to that again and again and again until it lands. Because exactly like you just said, we can be doing all the little courses. We can be subscribing to all the free stuff. And each time we do it, we're like, this is going to be it. Surely this is going to help me. Like this is going to be the thing that breaks through, right? And then they just pile up, one course after another, the next workshop, the next PDF, the next this.
Absolutely.
Never quite hits the mark. And you have just hit the nail on the head with what you've said, because there are things that we cannot see that are going on in our subconscious mind, and we need assistance to get there. Once we know how to get there, we can get there ourselves. I would probably say 98% of the time. Once we understand how to get there. I still have mentors and coaches that help me see stuff I can't see. And I'm the one teaching people how to do this, right? Because there is the stuff that we can't see. So I'm so glad that you said that, because I really feel people need to understand that if they're out there doing the workshops, buying the things here and there, but they're not really investing that one-on-one with someone who can break through, that's where they're going to come unstuck.
That was the turning point for me. As soon as I did that, it's just changed everything. Because like everything prior to that, yes, I'm sure it all had its place and it all helped me to get to this point, to the point where I made the decision to work with you. But also that, I had that connection with you. I resonated with what you were saying. I felt like when you were explaining your experiences, they were similar, if not the same as my experiences. And I'm thinking, okay, well, obviously there's something in this. I'm meant to hear this. I'm meant to do something with this information. And just, I think too, even trusting myself to go, okay, I need to do this for me.
Yes.
And like I said, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And until someone points it out to you from an outside perspective, you can be doing everything right and taking all the actions and being the best coachable student ever, but nothing's going to change unless you peel back those layers, you know?
Oh, this is such a good conversation already. This is everything that I teach and I talk about, you know, because you can be the best student. We can have the best strategy in the world.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to rewire that subconscious mind, which we know and I've spoken about so many times, controls 95% of how we operate, how we think, the habits, how we show up, the beliefs that we have. Like everyone just think about that for a second. 95% of what you do, what you think, what you believe, what you say is ruled by your subconscious mind, meaning you aren't even aware of it.
Absolutely. And a lot of it's repeated.
Exactly. A lot of it is repeated. Exactly.
Yeah.
So coming into coaching with me, so you sort of hit a point where you were like, I'm doing all the right things, but nothing's really working that well.
Absolutely.
You know, like you were getting results here and there. Things may have been shifting here and there, but deep down, and I love how you said you had to trust yourself, because a lot of people struggle with trust of self.
I was shit scared about taking that step.
Yes.
But you had a conversation with me. Hey?
Yeah. What was going through your mind?
I was like, I can't afford this. This is really selfish of me to use this to invest in myself. Is this going to work? Can I do this? You know, all these doubtful, I guess, conversations in my head that were saying to me, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, because that was not safe for me.
Yes.
But at the same time, learning what I'd learned up to that point, I knew that in order for me to move, I needed to get unsafe or get out of that comfort zone and just take that leap of faith.
Yeah, well, you needed to know that you were safe.
Yes.
Feeling unsafe.
Yeah.
Really?
And I think too that you pointed out to me once, because we were having a conversation, and you pointed out to me once that those conversations were all coming from a place of lack. Because I was focused on all the things that I couldn't have and I couldn't do, rather than, but what if you did this and this happened? And just changing that whole, the way I was thinking about it. So instead of thinking lack, think, you know, more abundant, more, you know, I can have all this if I just take that step.
Yeah. And I want to touch on this for a second, because there is, and this is really the theme of our whole conversation today. It was the biggest thing that you got was moving from learning how to rewire that lack mentality and how to shift out of that, because it's going to come up at times.
Absolutely.
Right? But learning how to, right, it's learning how to manage that.
Yeah.
So that's such an important conversation, because there is a difference, and I do want to point this out. There is a difference between something truly not feeling aligned in terms of investing your time, investing your money, investing your energy. If something doesn't feel aligned and you say no, that's not coming from a place of lack. That's coming from a place of honoring self. And when you follow that, you can't get it wrong, right? But what happens is a lot of people are in that lack mentality and they convince themselves this isn't the right thing to do. Or my quote unquote intuition is telling me that I shouldn't do this, because our fear and our ego and our subconscious mind really likes to trick us. And it is very, very good at doing it. So I think we also had this conversation as well, where I actually think I asked you, I said, does this feel like a heck yes for you? Does this feel like an abundant decision for you?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And that's when I said to you, then you need to follow that, no matter how big or how scary it feels. When you follow that heck yes decision, and it feels like an abundant investment or an abundant step, we have to know and trust that we're going to be supported no matter how big or small that step is.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. You definitely have to feel it, and if it feels good and that you feel like, yes, I really want to do that, then that's what you listen to. The rest will follow. It'll work itself out, it'll just unfold. But it was great that you also were able to point out to me patterns that I was making that logically I could see, but I didn't want to see. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
It's like, she's right. I do that. And then the result of that was exactly what I didn't want to happen. And I remember that light bulb moment, and I just went, oh my gosh, I'm making this happen because of the way that I'm thinking.
Well, we're making it happen because this is what we do. We self-sabotage in many different ways. But one of the ways in which we self-sabotage, and it's a form of keeping ourselves safe, protecting ourselves, is we create situations where we manifest the same outcome every time, but we do it from an intentional place subconsciously. Because if we manifest the same outcome every time that we don't want, even though consciously we are saying, I don't want this outcome, I don't want this outcome, subconsciously we're going, see, I knew this was going to happen. And it gives us an excuse or a reason to keep playing safe. So I hope everyone's like following that as you're sort of listening. When we continue patterns and repeat the same patterns, or I should say we repeat the same outcomes in our life, around money, around relationships, around business, we are subconsciously repeating that because we want to create evidence that what we are feeling is true, so that we can keep ourselves safe. And it's like saying, see, told you that was going to happen. See, I knew that was going to happen. That makes sense?
Absolutely. And so, so spot on. And I guess it's that certainty. I know for me, it was knowing that I knew what the outcome was, and I knew how to deal with that outcome because that's what I always did.
So let's go through that process, because I feel like a lot of people would probably really love hearing this. The process from when you decided you wanted to work with me, being afraid to make that investment, then making the investment, and then basically going to the other side of that, right? So it's like shifting to the other side of that fear. What was that journey like? How did that sort of unfold for you in a, from a mindset perspective, from a physical perspective, in your reality?
It was amazing. Like the changes that I felt and that I had physically, mentally, emotionally were just wow moments. Like they just helped me to make realizations from how I had been acting or doing, and what I then shifted to do to create what I was creating. And I think too, for me, it was finding that there was the piece that I wasn't doing. Like I was doing everything, but then I wasn't becoming that person. I wasn't embodying who I wanted to be or what I wanted to do in life. When I started putting that embodiment part into it and being and doing and having that Sandra in the future now, like I already had it, that's when things started to change.
It's so funny you say that, because in the last episode that I had with my guest Jess, talking about her shifts, she said the same thing. She said at the end of the day, it came down to her embodying who she wanted to be.
Yep.
And I think I'm going to be banging on about this until I'm not ever doing this anymore, right? That the missing piece for so many people is embodiment.
Yep.
Because people stop before the embodiment phase. Now I get it's probably the most challenging phase because it requires you to throw away everything you've ever known, everything you believe, and requires you to leap with faith into a new version of you, into a new belief system, right? But when people do this work and they're saying, okay, Lisa, well, I'm uncovering the beliefs, I'm shifting them, I'm reframing them. Now what? Why is nothing changing? Why am I not believing this? Because you're not embodying it. You're not being that person yet. You need to participate. If you're going to choose to have a new belief, just like you've been choosing the beliefs that don't serve you and embodying that, if you're going to change that, you need to start embodying the new belief now for it to become part of your reality.
Yep.
So I love that you said that, because it just highlights even more, even to me, how much that embodiment piece really is the key, and learning how to embody that. So can you share how you did that? Like how did you embody that?
So I think, like, I know that you've had this experience too, but journaling was a big thing for me, where I was doing, my affirmations, I was reframing, I was doing everything, and I'm thinking, but nothing's changing. And I know that there are so many people that will do it, but nothing changes. And that what I learned was that writing for writing's sake, and journaling just because it's a check off the to-do list, that's not going to do anything.
No.
When you do it, you need to feel what you're writing about. You need to get in contact with what you're actually writing, like really feel it.
Yes.
Right? And then what you've written, you need to be it. Like, otherwise there's the missing link there. And before, I never got that before. Like I did it and I didn't understand why it wasn't working. Yeah. And then when you taught me this and you said, well, then you have to be that person, and you write things that you can get behind. Like, that was one massive thing that I always took away. Like having, when I'm journaling, writing behind what I can get behind. What can I truly believe that this is possible for me? Not some, I don't want to say far-fetched, but, for example, I'm going to be a millionaire. Now, I know right now that is not going to happen, right? That's not to say it's not ever going to happen, but right now I need to say, I want to be X, Y, and Z by the end of the year, that I can truly believe, and I can embody that person, that version of Sandra.
Exactly.
That was really key for me in terms of learning how to use journaling as a tool, but also even just unpacking, like using journaling intuitively, like asking questions and getting in touch with my subconscious. And like, everyone has a different belief. Mine's God, people believe the universe, source, whatever it is, but really connecting with that was another massive thing for me. Like, and until I had that click, there was just that, what's the word I'm looking for, that disconnect.
Yep.
So I needed to make that connect. And when I did, and what I worked it out was for me, that I needed to then tune into that. And it was so much easier for me to tune into that, because that was what I truly believed, what I was truly aligned with, what spoke to me.
This is, perfect.
And learning to listen to that too. Like, I know from my perspective, like, I'm very busy. I've got 4 kids. I work. I do my passionate business after hours as well. Like, so I've got lots of things going on, and I needed to learn to dim the noise. Because when you've got so much noise, it's really hard to listen, and it's really hard to hear what you're being told by your subconscious and by your higher power, or whatever it is that you believe in.
So many golden nuggets in what you just said then. Three things that I really want to highlight again to everyone listening that you've just said. number one, journaling around what you can actually get behind.
Yeah.
And yes, this is something that I go over in my training, because how many people, like, we all have these grand goals and visions, and they are all possible. And this is something I say all the time, right? That they are all possible. And just because we aren't writing that in our journal today, right now, doesn't mean we can't have it. But in order for us to call in what we truly desire, it has to be in increments, because we have to be able to fully believe and get behind what we're asking for in that moment. So like you just said, yes, you can absolutely become a billionaire.
Yeah.
But can you do that tomorrow? Can you do that next week? If you were to write that in your journal today, can you truly believe and get behind that you're going to be a billionaire next week? No.
Yeah. No, right? That's right.
So being able to start where you can actually believe and get behind is crucial. And that it needs to be something that pushes you. Yeah, it needs to be something that is, you know, a little bit higher than the level that you're at now. Absolutely, because you don't want to continue remaining where you are. We want to keep evolving. But it needs to be, like you said, something that you can get behind. So that's the first thing, is when you are calling in what you desire and journaling around it, really tune in and say, on an energetic level, when I feel into this desire, do I truly believe I can call this in the time frame that I've asked to have it?
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing that you said that I think is so important, because I know and I saw the shift in you when this happened, right, is knowing what your higher power actually is.
Yes.
Because for me, it's the universe. It has always been the universe for me. For other people, it is God, right? Which I know that was what resonated with you. And they are all correct, right? Yeah. But we have to know what it is for us, because if we can't connect to that higher power fully, then exactly like you said, there's going to be that disconnect there, which is going to not allow us, and I want to be careful how I say this, because our faith shouldn't come from something outside of us. But when we don't feel connected to that higher power that we believe in, that we feel connected to, we will struggle to really cultivate that real sense of strength and faith within, where we can learn to surrender and step back and go, I've played my part now. I trust that I've done all I know to do. And now I need to allow God, universe, angels, higher self to come in and to play the rest. And I saw that shift in you when you realized that you had disconnected yourself for a little while from your higher power. And you made that realization.
Everything changed from that moment.
I saw things change for you. What did change when you realized what your higher power was?
I want to say I felt safe, and I felt like I was surrounded by love, and I was comforted, and that it didn't matter what happened, I would be okay.
Yeah. And that's faith. That's surrender.
Yeah. And I'm very much, I've been doing a lot of stuff on masculine and feminine energy, right? And I'm very much in the masculine energy a lot of the time. And I have to remind myself to tune into that feminine energy and to surrender and to be vulnerable and to not have to control everything. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like, because my job requires me to do that. Being a mum requires me to do that. And so there's times when I just want to go, you know, I've done everything I can possibly do. I'm just going to give this to you.
Yeah.
Because as a human being, I can't deal with any more. And being okay to say that as well. Yeah. Because before I used to think, well, that's not okay. You can't be like that. You have to fix everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was another, when I talk about feeling comfort and safe, like when feeling that connection to God, for me was massive. Like it just, it's just massive.
Yeah.
And then applying everything that I've learnt with you, just, you know, when things do come up in life, as I said to you before we started today, you know, I'm not saying that things don't happen and that we don't have the ebb and flow of life. We do. But what I've learned, and now that I have that alignment and that connection with my God or source or whatever it is for whoever, I can deal with things so much better.
Yes.
I don't fall into this massive heap of depression and upset that will spiral for days, maybe weeks, which I was like before.
And this is what I want to highlight to people, because you know, I say this all the time. It's been my tagline for a little while now, that self-awareness is your greatest human superpower.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And you just hit the nail on the head there, that doing this work is not about getting to a place in your life where you have no problems, no challenges, and everything is just, it doesn't exist. That's not life. That's not, like we were saying before we even started recording, life is ebb and flow. Life has seasons. Life is a mixture of up and down. You know, we've got the seasons, literally the seasons. You know, that is how we are wired and made to move and to shift. We are not wired to remain the same and to stay where we are. Even a plant, a tree that is rooted in the ground and doesn't move for its entire life still goes through seasons, right? The leaves fall off, then they start to come again. When you look at everything in nature, in life, everything has seasons, has different shades. So it's not about getting to a place in your life where you're like, I'm good now, I'm going to do this coaching.
I used to think that,
right,
Lisa, until I worked out that's not how it works.
I don't care how much of an enlightened human being you are, right?
It's not a destination, it's a journey. And I know that's cliche, but it's true.
It is true. It is a journey. No matter how enlightened you are, no matter how much you know, you are always going to have experiences of these different shades and seasons. And the goal, the aim should not be, can I get to a point where I never have these challenges in my life again? The goal should be, can I get myself to a point where I'm so self-aware of what's actually going on for me, and I have the tools to move through it.
Yes.
That is the goal. And one thing I teach as well is your comeback rate.
Yes.
I've shared this with you before, that measuring your growth and success shouldn't be based on, oh, yay, like I've never had another challenge again, or I've never stuffed up again, or, you know, we are going to have moments as human beings where we don't make the best decisions for ourselves, where we don't show up as our best self. And that is part of being a human being. Absolutely. And it's not about, when those moments happen, saying, well, I failed. It's not working. This work isn't working for me, or I must be failing. It's about measuring your comeback rate. So when these things do happen, when maybe you don't make the best decisions, or when challenges arise in your life, how quickly can you come back from that? How quickly can you bring yourself back from that? Because 12 months ago, you may have come up against the same challenge and it took you friggin' 2 weeks to overcome it, or 3 weeks to overcome it. Today, the same challenge might arise for you, but it's taken you maybe 24 hours or a day or 3 days or 5 minutes.
So spot on. Like, I've noticed that dramatically about myself. And like you said, with self-awareness, that's been massive for me, because when I notice things about me, or what triggers me, or I start to question myself rather than react to the situation or the event or the person. I go, okay, why am I feeling like this? What did that person say, do, or what happened in the event that's making me feel like this? And just having that awareness is massive. Massive.
So
good. It's like a muscle. You've got to practice it every day, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. So just before we wrap up this, I mean, I know we could seriously
we could keep talking forever.
There's so much goodness in here that we could just keep diving into. But obviously we both have the rest of the day that we need to get on with.
Yeah.
But just before we wrap up here, what do you feel? So two things. First question is, what do you feel was the biggest achievement or thing that you created, manifested, shifted through from our time together?
Oh, that's a big question because there's so many things. I would have to say the biggest thing for me is changing that mindset, that lack mindset, and moving into that more abundant mindset.
Yeah.
But not just saying it, but actually being it.
Yeah.
That would have to be the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
And then the second thing would be finding the connect for me with God.
Yes.
So those two things, I think, made the biggest changes.
Yeah. And that really came down to understanding what was going on for you at a subconscious level, really, and rewiring that. And then learning the tools like journaling.
Yes.
To work through it on your own, because that's another thing I say is that I don't want to be anyone's guru. I want to give people the tools so that they can go away and apply it and work themselves through things that they need to work through.
Yeah.
So if you could give everyone any bit of advice or tool or something that you want to leave them with that they can go away and apply to start shifting out of that lack mentality.
Okay.
What would you say?
The first thing I would say, in order for you to shift out of that lack mentality, is to find what you connect to. So whether it's God, the source, universe, angels, whatever, and it aligns with you, and that's what you truly feel connected to, that makes you feel safe and comfortable and loved. Once you have that, you're, I don't want to say invincible, but that's how it makes you feel. And powerful, and you can step into your posture, your power, your confidence, your belief in yourself, all those things. So find what it is that you truly connect to, and it doesn't have to be the same as everybody else. It can be different, and that's okay to be different, because everybody connects differently. And be proud of what it is that you have found your true alignment to.
I love that advice, and for those listening that are sort of thinking, well, I don't know how to find this, or I don't feel connected to anything, just start, start journaling around speaking to the universe, or start journaling around speaking to God, start journaling around speaking to your higher power, to your angels, and see what lands and what resonates. And when you feel, like you just said, that safe space where you're like, I know, I can feel that I'm so supported here, because I know that as human beings walking this earth, we do have higher power at play for each and every single one of us. And it's not about making ourselves feel like it's all on us, because it's not. It's called a co-creation for a reason.
Absolutely.
So we need to find what that higher power is for us, like you said, connect to it and work with it every day. And in those moments of feeling lack and scarcity, we can lean on that, not from a place of I'm relying on this higher power to fix everything for me, or I'm relying on this higher power to keep me safe, where it's keeping me in my little comfort bubble.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
You still have to take the action.
Exactly.
You still have to do the work as well, because it's you're working together. Like you said, it's a co-creation. You have to do some, the higher power will do some.
Exactly. The way I see it, it's like, all right, universe, I'm doing this. I'm taking this action. I'm ready. Are you coming with me? Like, let's go. It's that sort of energy. It's that sort of feeling. Whenever I'm feeling lack in an area, and I can feel that fear start to come up, it's like, all right, universe, this is how I'm feeling. I'm feeling this fear. I'm feeling this lack. I know that you've got my back. I am playing my part. I'm taking this inspired action to move myself through it. Now I'm asking that you come with me and support me for the rest. And it's allowing yourself to feel that support. So yeah, I totally agree with there. Amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much for this conversation. I know that we could have kept going. It was so much fun. And I'm sure that, you know, I'll probably have you on here again for another conversation around something else. But thank you so much for your time. I'm sure that everyone's just going to get so much out of this because it has been such a powerful conversation. So proud of how you shifted and, you know, what you've been able to do. It's just been so awesome watching you shift and grow and just release things that haven't been serving you internally. It's been amazing. Absolutely. So well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. I'll always be grateful.
Thanks, lovely. And I will chat to you soon.
All right, darling. Bye.
Bye.